Hello everyone, it is now the top of the hour and we will begin. And I'd like to mention a happy Valentine's Day Eve to all of us. For those of you who are planning to celebrate tomorrow, that gives you half a day to get everything ready for being good to your sweetie. My name is Barbara Weber. I am the Associate Director of PowerFAIDS Training, and we're bringing you live demonstrations of the new features in PowerFAIDS 24.2. I want to mention that we released PowerFAIDS 24.2, so probably your IT folks are busily getting that up and running for you. These quick chats are intended to help you see how to apply the features that we introduced in last week's community call in your office. Please note that this presentation is being recorded for later access by you and other PowerFAIDS customers. And today we are demonstrating new features such as how to create and track programs and academic years, how to navigate in the newly redesigned POE views, how to use the enhanced email attachments, and a quick look at the new CSV import option for student employment tracking. We will not have demonstrations for NetPartner or for APIs, and for those who are interested in more information about NetPartner and APIs, we recommend that you view the recorded PowerFAIDS 24.2 community call, which is up on our PowerFAIDS Resource Center. And also, please do review, please do review the release notes for PowerFAIDS 24.2, where there's loads of great information. We will end our time together with a little bit of time for your questions. And you can type your questions into the Q&A or chat panel at any time. We will do our best to get you the answers you need at the end of this quick chat. One more item you may be wondering about. Yes, the answer is yes. PowerFAIDS 24.2 includes the up-to-date Pell charts so that you can proceed with confidence awarding your 1920 students. Let's begin. In PowerFAIDS 24.2, we added a new concept that we call programs. As with many enhancements, this one is the result of numerous functionality requests. In this case, the request came from our BBA, that's Borrower-Based Award Year schools, but we believe many of you, regardless of whether you use BBA or the Standard Award Year, you may find that this new concept is quite useful. I should point out, though, it is not a required use feature. You're not required to use it. Entirely optional, but we do hope that you'll give it a try. After you install PowerFAIDS 24.2, you'll be able to go into the admin module and define your own programs using the data points as we're showing in this screenshot. So let's go ahead and do that now. And I do want to point out on the screenshot that we do have one in the upper left corner that is a non-term academic calendar and one in the lower right corner that is a standard academic calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our PowerFAIDS desktop connection. It'll take me a second to get back in here. And again, we're going to open up PowerFAIDS 24.2 and log in. Okay, so we're going to open the admin module, and in the admin module, you can either go to Programs and Academic Years down here in the lower left-hand corner, or you can go from the View to Campus Info and either Academic Years or Programs, whichever you need to get to. We're going to go ahead and open up Programs, and as you can see, I've created a few programs already. In our undergraduate programs, and by the way, these are empty so that you can create anything at all that you want. When you first receive PowerFAIDS24.2, this left panel will be empty. You're going to click on the Add button in the lower left corner. You're going to create a new program. I've already created a bachelor's degree, so I'm going to create my associate's degree program. And I'm going to label this as an active program. I have to say what program or credential level this is. So there's my associate's degree. What kind of calendar it might be, standard, non-term, or non-standard or non-term. We'll go with a standard here. And it is semesters, the hours type are credit. You will know all of these answers based on what is at your school. The program length in weeks would be 60 weeks for a 2-year program. Program hours is 450 at my school. Academic weeks in this year would be 30, and academic hours, let's go with 225. Now, if I've already created an existing group, undergraduate and graduate, you can create whatever groups you want, clicking on the new, and then they'll be in your existing drop-down as soon as you've created one or the other, or as many as you need. So we're going to go ahead and save that program, and now we see that we have that as our new associate's degree program. Note that you could also use the clone button from previously created programs, so you could highlight one of them, click the clone, and create a new one. Every one of these data points that you see here must be completed before PowerFAIDS will save this new program. You can choose the appropriate information based on your school's calendar, and then, as I did, save your work. We believe that our schools with multiple programs across student populations will greatly benefit from being able to set these up in admin and then track them in the student module. Please note that programs are not award year specific and can be used in any award year, past, present, future. We realize that non-traditional financial aid does not rely as heavily on the standard award year calendar, and we are pleased to bring new enhancements that can function outside of that traditional award year scope. For right now, programs are for informational and data tracking purposes only. They do not drive other processes like packaging, for example. However, we may be adding functionality in the future based on your feedback. So anytime you get a survey from us, please let us know what you think and what you need. So let's go on now that we've set up our program in the admin module and we have our examples there. Let's see where you're going to track them in the student module. And again, we have a non-term program in the upper left corner and a standard in the lower right corner. As you define one or more programs in the admin module, you can associate your programs to the student records as you want to track them. Again, this is optional, but if you want to track them, this is a great way to do it. The pictures, as I said, show a non-term academic calendar at the top and a standard at the bottom. The new program view in the student module, beginning with PowerFAIDS24.2, is in the Award Year Profile View section. You'll notice that just like programs in admin are not award year specific, neither is this student view. You can view this screen in all award years, and any changes you make in one year will instantly appear in all the other years. So let's go ahead and add a program to one of our students. We're going to go back into the student module. I want to be in the 18-19 school year. And I want to be looking at my friend Dinah Lance. We're going to start by looking at her 18-19 year in the POEs. And what we're seeing here is that she's a freshman. In the POE view, we see the fall freshman there. She's completed that first semester. We want to add her program and designate it to her POEs. So I'm going to go to Programs, I'm going to click on Add. I'm going to find her program. Let's say that it's the Bachelor of Science. Okay. Okay, yes, the Bachelor of Science is what I wanted to use. And then once we add that, we can save it. I just use the Control S to save that. Once I have added the program, then I want to associate the POEs that go with that program. And we see that we're in the 18-19 school year, so I want the 18-19 fall to be part of her Bachelor of Science degree, as well as the 18-19 spring to be part of her bachelor's degree. Now, I could go ahead and say she's probably going to be in the Bachelor of Science degree for the next year as well. So you can see how it is not limited to just one academic year. Okay, so we're going to save that. And then when we go to our POEs, we can now see that it has been added to the POE program name right here in the center of the POE as Bachelor of Science. Okay. And we can also see live and on this slide that many of the program data points are read-only, as they're pulled from the administration level definition of program, whatever you defined in admin. You're able to update certain things like the student-specific start and end dates, as well as any program hours the student may have transferred in or otherwise completed. You're also able to designate if a program is the student's primary program via this checkbox up here in the upper right corner, and one we have checked and one we do not. So you can see that that is your possibilities. Since a student may be enrolled in multiple programs over their period of attendance at your school, we wanted to give you a way to indicate which program is that student's current focus. So let's look at the program view, going back here to the program view. And we want to go back to program view. And we want to see the remaining hours and weeks field automatically update based on whatever you put in to, for example, the transfer or other hours. So let's say that Dinah brought with her 6 credits from her previous summer of taking a couple of classes, and she maybe also passed a couple of AP classes that you're going to give her credits for. So we'll go ahead and add those as 12 credits here. So now we see that she has reduced her net program hours from 900 by that 6 has been dropped down, actually by the 12 has been dropped down to 888. It will even pull in, as we said, if we fill in our start dates, and let me just go ahead and put in, I think our start date was 8/17 of 18, and our program end date is 5/27 of 21. Well, that didn't work. Let me try that again. 5/27. Boy, it is not doing it for me. 5/27. There we go. Of 2021. There we go. And we'll save that as well. Okay, so if we go back now after having saved that information to our POE screen, we're going to see our Bachelor of Science here. We're going to see the scheduled weeks, and what we can do here with the program tab is say that, well, this fall semester is over. She's already completed those 16 weeks, and she completed 15 hours of her scheduled coursework. So we can save that information, and that also is going to update on the program information. So now we have that information that we can track as well. Okay, let's go ahead. As we just demonstrated, and as you see an example on this slide, not only can you associate a program with a student and then you associate the program with each POE that the student has. Now, because this new feature is not year-specific and it is visible across all years, you can assign programs to POEs in any year via the Associate Programs to POEs button. And you saw me add both this year and next year to that particular student. These tracking capabilities allow you to monitor students as they progress through one or more programs over the course of several POEs and multiple years. On the POEs view, this slide shows two different tabs. At the top, the fall, you'll see the program-specific information such as we just added to our sample student. At the bottom, you'll see some of the information that you are familiar with on the POE view. We'll demonstrate more about the new tabs of the POE view in just a bit. But here we want to show in the pink highlighted area that you're able to track the POE-specific program completion data in PowerFAIDS24.2 and following, including the hours and weeks completed by the student in the selected POE. This will not only allow you to track POE level completion as evidenced by the new 50% completed, the third one here, and the POE completion achieved field listed here, the fourth one, but any values placed into the completed weeks or completed hours fields will also be pulled up to the student level program data view we saw a couple slides ago. And it will be applied toward the completion calculations to let you know how close a student is to completing the program as a whole. Let's go back to our live PowerFAIDS example and see what happens when we complete the data that feeds into these completion fields. And here we already recorded the completed weeks and the completed hours. And so we want to look again at our programs where we saw our transfer hours and our other hours. And here we see our completed weeks and our remaining program weeks, our completed hours and our remaining program hours. So these calculations, you can now track the student POE and program level completion. And we think this data will help with SAP, Satisfactory academic progress tracking, and other program level data that you need to report on. And of course, if you have any other enhancement requests for this new feature, please do let us know. Let's move on at this point to how do we create and track academic years, this other new concept that we introduced in PowerFAIDS24.2. Geared by design towards our schools that process loans using BBay and therefore may have multiple loans in one year. Plus, we hope that it will make data tracking a little bit easier for everyone. So we want everyone to use this. Again, it is optional, but you can use it. In admin, you can now define a basic academic year which is not constrained by award years. For BBay schools, having an academic year that spans multiple award years has been difficult in PowerFAIDS. So this is one of our first steps towards finding additional tools that will help ease that process for you. Similar to programs, the new academic years data available in PowerFAIDS24.2 will not drive things like packaging or letters, but we are open to ideas on how they can be made more powerful in the future. As optional tools, academic years are available, but not required at this time. So now we want to go back in our live PowerFAIDS. We want to open up the administration module to 1920, and we want to create a new academic year. And what we want to do here is up under View, Campus Info, and then Academic Years. You can also get there from the Welcome screen. We want to, as you can see, I've created a few years in here. We want to create a summer-fall option for 1920. And again, note that all of the items must be completed before saving your work. So what I want to do is a summer fall for the BBay 18 program. So I'm going to take this BBay 18 program, which ended in April of 19, and I'm going to go ahead and clone it. Now, at your school, when you upgrade to 24.2, this will be empty. It's totally up to you to add using the add button, and then once you have a few, you can clone from any previous one you may like. I want to show you now cloning. And so what I have cloned, there it is. You have to take the word cloned out of it and then go ahead and change whatever it is that you want it to be. And I said that I wanted it to be a summer fall. So I'm going to change that in my, how do I designate this? What is my naming convention? And here I'm going to put SF for summer fall. And then I am going to make this, this would be my March date of 19. And then this would be my July date. Actually, let's make that August and 15. There we go. And I'm going to save that. So now I have another academic year. That is my summer fall for my bachelor's degree completion program. And it is just that easy to create whatever academic year you need at your school. Let's go ahead and move on. Similar to programs, after you define your academic year in the admin module, then you can go to the student module and start adding the pertinent year using the add button for that particular student. You'll then associate one or more academic years to the student records as needed. And just like program, the new academic year concept is not award year specific. Now you'll be able to see which academic years your students are associated with in any award year you happen to be logged into at the time. And so now what we want to do is go ahead and go back again, and this time to the student module. We want to look at Arthur Curry, where we'll see that we have added under academic years some academic years for him. And we clicked on the add button. We then associated to a particular term or part of the, whatever part of the program is, that academic year that the student is. And if I wanted to, I can now add another option. The one that I just created, my BA Comp Summer Fall, would not be appropriate for this student. So let me think again about that. I don't have any more to add to this particular student, but it would be just that easy. Click the add button, choose your option, click the save button, and then once you have your particular academic year, then we want to click on the associate POEs to the academic years, and here is where you choose the academic year for that particular set of POEs. It wouldn't have to be all of these POEs, it could be different ones. Again, based on your school's programs and academic years. Okay, so that's our academic years. We'll go ahead and continue on the slides. Next, you'll associate the academic years with the POEs to allow you to indicate which POEs are being paid from which academic years. And again, we saw Arthur Curry, we saw adding the associated POEs to the academic year using the associate POEs to award or to academic year button, as you see highlighted in red up here. Now, to track the academic years, once you've associated an academic year with a student and also with one or more of that student's POEs, PowerFAIDS is then going to collect all the subsidized loan and unsubsidized loan information for the POEs that you associated with that academic year. And it's going to display that information in the academic year screen, as we see on this slide, even if those POEs are from different award years. So I'm going to go back to the live. In our award years, we can click on any of these plus signs, and we see how much of the subsidized loan, how much of the unsubsidized loan is committed to this particular academic year, the spring-summer of BBA 2018. The summer-fall of BBA 2017 has these other funds that the student was awarded for those time periods. And moving on, back on slide 8, you got a first look at our newly redesigned POE views as we were demonstrating how program connects to POEs. And these new tabs, as we call them, came about because we determined that we would need to add so many new fields for tracking this program information and this academic year information at the POE level. So concurrently, we knew that there was no way we could fit all of those program fields into the existing POE layout without making it a huge mess that you'd only be able to see one POE, if that, at a time. You'd have to have scroll bars and all kinds of nastiness. So we also heard in surveys and at the conference that you'd like to have more POEs on this particular view or screen. So working closely with our PowerFAIDS advisory group, we redesigned the POEs to give you the ease of use you've come to rely on, while also giving us the flexibility to add more functionality to the system later on. What you see here is that we've removed the expander button that you used to see, that little plus sign that used to be out here, no longer exists. And instead, we created this series of tabs. You can see general information, distribution patterns, program, and R2T4. So that you have those set of 4 tabs on each POE. And now without needing to use a scroll bar, this POE view can see 3 full POEs at a time, as you see on this slide. A little bit more about the redesigned views. We're going to look at each tab individually. And this is the general information tab, where you might also notice, and we've highlighted them in yellow, that this is where the new program, in this case Bachelor of Arts, and academic year, in this case BBA 2017, shows up on the POE General Information tab. These are the fields that get updated when using that Associate in POEs button that we demonstrated earlier. So what I want to do now is to open up the POE for one of our students in 1920. We want to look at Tomas, and we want to go to his program. And here I'm going to do this all from scratch so you can see it all at once. We're going to add his program, which is the degree completion program. And we're going to put in his start date. We'll go with 8/17 of 2019. And we'll end that as 5/25 of 2021. So it's a 2-year program. So I've added his program. We're going to save that information. With a degree completion program, he may have 60 hours that he's bringing in from life credit, from previous schools that he's attended, whatever it might be. So let's go ahead and add a little bit from both of those hours. And so we can see that his net program hours has already dropped. And we also want to associate the POEs to that program. And what we're going to associate for him are the degree completion ones, the alpha session, and the delta session as what he has signed up for. So we'll add those. And we also want to go to his academic years. We're going to add his academic years. His degree completion was the fall, winter, and the summer, fall. And we'll save those. And we'll associate all of the POEs that go with that, which is the alpha session and the delta session. Okay, we're going to save that. So you've seen that, and we can go back to our POE screen now, and we can see the degree completion, we can see the BA, and we can see the beta session he's not actually enrolled for, so maybe we would want to disable that and save it and then delete it because he's not actually in that program. And we can delete that POE. Okay, so we now have our general information. You might also have academic division and satisfactory progress and the number of credits that you signed up for. All of those would go in there. Let me go ahead and go back to our slides. Here you can see examples of the next tab. It's the distributions tab, distribution patterns tab, I should say. I've highlighted in yellow the additional options that we added in 24.2. Initially, we had 2 patterns, A and B, and then earlier last year we added up through L, and now we've added the rest of the alphabet. The patterns work just like they did before, it's just that there are more of them. Lots of functionality here. The next tab is the program tab that we've been looking at. We demonstrated it at the beginning and just now. And after each term is complete, so let's go back to one of our students in the live. This is 1920, so let me go back to 1819. We're going to say yes, and go back to 1819. And we'll take the student here after he's completed. You want to go ahead and on the program fill in the completed weeks and the completed hours. That data then populates on the program view, and please note that while I'm showing this to you manually, this is a really great use of your EU functionality. So don't hesitate to get together with your data integration people and update this either through file format or maybe through the new APIs. Get that data into your campus system, from your campus system into PowerFAIDS as electronically efficiently as you possibly can. And our next slide. This 4th tab is where you're going to find all of the R2T4, the Return to Title IV payment data. This tab functions like it did before. It is more consolidated than you're used to seeing, more data in a smaller space. So it's there, it's all the data is there, it's just arranged differently. And if you do have a scheduled break on that particular POE, you can click on the View Details and it will take you to those details of the scheduled break. Okay. We are pleased to announce a couple of new options to assist you with more robust budget construction as well. You may already use the current POE units budget calculation functionality. It's been around for a long time. You can take the value of the credits in the POE field or hours, either one, and run it through an algorithm that comes up with a budget calculation for that POE based on that number of credits or hours, depending on how you fill in that information. And then in response to your request to expand the functionality of what's in the POE units, especially other things on the POE fields, the weeks, the hours people have been asking for, you now have 3 different POE level data points that can be run through your algorithms to calculate the budget information, making your calculations more powerful and student specific. You may be asking where this is, so let me go ahead and go to the admin module. We're going to go to POEs and budgets. We'll open up a particular POE and go to the budget items. When you open up your budget items by clicking the expander button, instead of just the POE credits that was either hours or credits, we called it units. We now call it credits, and then you also have weeks and you have hours. So these are available to create algorithms against, just like the POE units was available every year prior. So now you have 3 options. Yay! And continuing on, another very, very popular enhancement request topic that we've been able to fulfill for you is email attachments. You asked for the ability to attach multiple files to your email transmissions, and with PowerFAIDS24.2, you get that ability to attach multiple files to any email in PowerFAIDS. Now, we did place a limit, a total limit of 10 megabytes for combined file size. We do highly recommend that you reach out to your IT department to see what sorts of restrictions may be in place for your SMTP server at your institution. However, you can have an unlimited number of attachments so long as all of the attachments combined do not exceed that 10 megabyte limit. In PowerFAIDS24.2, you can have multiple attachments and use attachments on both your template-based emails and your ad hoc-based emails. Before, ad hoc-based were the only ones that could have one email attachment. Now, both ad hoc and template-based emails can have one or more attachments to the email. So, as an example, you can attach a verification worksheet to your verification emails, or maybe an appeal form for your SAP progress notifications. You choose what works for you and your students. So as an example, let's go into, in the live, we're going to go back to our student, and we're going to go to our batch wizard, and we're going to show you a batch ad hoc email. So we're going to go with letters and emails. We'll just choose the board family here. And we're going to compose an email, and I'm in 1819. Yes, that's okay. No, I have to be in 1920. Sorry. So let me go back to 1920 and try this again. Letters and emails, the board family, and composing an email. There we go. Okay, so you have to complete all the normal stuff, choose the parent address if you're going to, who it's from, what the subject is. But now you can attach from wherever you might be getting this, and I believe I have a different folder here on my desktop. Documents, here we go. And we're going to choose our dependent verification and our application and our medical special conditions. We're going to put all three of those in here. So these are PDFs. They have to be PDFs that you would want to add there. And you can attach these multiple files to your batch ad hoc or to your batch email, however you want to send that out. Now, we can also go ahead and from an individual student in 1920, and we're looking here at Arthur Curry in 1920. Yes, we are. And we can click on the back of the envelope icon to generate using the letters and tracking rules. And we're going to use a general just to show a different kind. And there's our general type. And we want to now send it as an email. Oh, shoot. This is where I'm in 1819. I needed to be in 1920. Sorry about that. And we'll try again with Arthur. We are going to generate, using the tracking rules, a general letter for SAP progress policy, for example, sending it as an email, filling in all of the important information that you might have. And in whatever your subject line is, whoever it is that's sending this. When we get to the attach button, you click on the attach button. We said special condition, but we also need him to complete the verification and the financial aid application, so we're going to grab all three of those. And then when we would click execute, we would send all three of those attachments with our email. So both as a template and as an ad hoc email, both batch and individual. All of that's available to you in 1920. Next, we've made some nice enhancements to the student employment tracking. Hopefully you've noticed that we've been recently pushing to convert many of our current flat file data layouts into CSV to make file creation and data processing easier for everyone. We're pleased to announce that the student employment load is the next data import that has been converted. At the top of the slide, you can see an example of how easy it is to create the new student employment load file. Please note that all columns must be present for CSV to work. CSV is absolutely one of the simplest data layout options, and we anticipate that you are excited about the new direction we are taking data integration tools. In addition, we've now enabled the scheduler to work with the student employment load, so those of you that use the data integration process can now automate it to run with each payroll update. Yay! Last, we also created an API to handle the student employment load. So our schools that have begun to implement the APIs have another efficiency tool in their burgeoning toolbox. In addition to the student employment tracking API, we now have an API to allow you to better utilize the global comments, including being able to get or post comments, and we believe it will be very useful. With the addition of the global comments, all aspects of the external update that currently exist in the XML flow are now available via API. At the 2018 conference, some PowerFAIDS users brought up the idea of a selection set population API that would allow you to specify a selection set token, and it would then send back all of the alternative IDs for students that are currently inside that particular selection set. Now, this may be helpful if other offices at your campus know that token of the specific selection set, such as maybe a list of the students that aren't making satisfactory progress, or maybe the admissions office needs a list of those who haven't finished their aid application. However, they can use that API to query the selection set for a list of students and then can perform outreach to assist them, and they can do it on demand without having to ask you, the financial aid office, to generate that list for them. Another popular enhancement request at the conference was to allow certain APIs to trigger need analysis after updating student data. In PowerFAIDS24.2, some of the external update-related APIs will now have an additional URL attribute that will allow you to specify if you would like need analysis to be performed on the student record after the API call completes. Please review the API documentation for more information on this feature. We're also very excited about the future of PowerFAIDS APIs and have already started to hear from numerous schools that have started working on implementing them and saving a lot of time. We always want your feedback, though. We have heard emails from schools providing feedback for the API documentation. They may be requesting additional functionality, and to make sure we can collect that information and apply it to future decisions, we need to hear from you. Finally, we have enhanced NetPartner24.2 and would like to point you to the recorded 24.2 community call for further information. You can also read the NetPartner release notes for further details, and because we built in many of the NASFA award letter standards into PowerFAIDS and into NetPartner24.2, you will want to review that recording, the last one at the bottom of this slide, as well. Looking to the future, here are the tentative dates regarding our upcoming releases. And in case you missed the conference last year, we announced the PowerFAIDS Cloud. And more information on the cloud, be sure to visit our resource center and share your thoughts via the address provided here. We have a usage survey that we'd like as many of you as possible to complete. Please do so when you get a chance. We have plenty of free online offerings, such as these great training resources that you can access at any time. Be sure, again, to read and review the release notes for PowerFAIDS24.2 as you begin to use this newest release. I also want to put in a shameless plug for our face-to-face training opportunities. If you have new staff, we have the 3-day basics class and the 2-day managing administrative parameters class. So basics is for those who want to know how to use PowerFAIDS, and managing admin PARMs is for those who need to or have taken the responsibility of maintaining all of the parameters and updating them from year to year. If you have sent us an email asking for assistance and haven't heard back, please check to make sure that you're using this new address, pfaidsupport@powerfaids.org. We promise to get back to you within a couple of hours. And if you have any questions, you can now raise your electronic hand if you want to ask a verbal question, or we will be taking questions from the Q&A and chat panels. Also want to show you how to get in touch with us later if you need to contact us after you are off the call or after you've watched this recorded training. If you're live, please do click on the evaluation form and help us continue to provide the best in training services. Here is our other information and our last trademark information. So let's go back to now where you can ask your questions. And we will open it up for your questions at this time. Okay. First one I see is a question on the chat panel. Would the new PowerFAIDS upgrade support federal shopping sheets future? The current PowerFAIDS upgrade 24.2 supports the shopping sheet that has been around for a while. And I do know that there is a new one, and I think they've even changed the name of the shopping sheet to something else. That is scheduled for a future release. It is not yet in the 24.2. And that is the only question I see on the chat panel. So let me go ahead and go to the QA panel. Okay. And I have someone who is confused by my programs and degrees. Sorry about that. And hopefully no one else is confused. Please understand that these are samples. They may not exactly match what you use at your school. They are just intended to be samples. Question: Are hours are hours required to be included in the setup of the program if you track credits, not hours? Okay, let's go back to our live. And let's look at our program. And we're asking our hours to be included in the setup of programs. So that would be the admin module for the setup of programs. We want to go to campus info and then programs. And if we click on add, we'll see all the things. Program hours are to be included, but I think if you choose a particular program level, the hours may or may not be the same. I'm not sure. Jasmine, can you help me out here? Are you well versed in if a school tracks credits but not hours, are they required to be included in the setup of the program? I'm pretty sure that all of these need to be completed with the exception of the program ID, which PowerFAIDS completes for you. Can you help me out, Jasmine?
I believe so, but I will test really quick and to get a definite answer.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, the next question, and we'll come back to the one about hours and credits. What happens when a student withdraws from a course within one of the subterms of the semester? Will that information be shown here? Shown here as in shown where? Okay, so let's go back to the student module, because I think that's where you would be talking about when a student withdraws from a course within one of the subterms. That's probably going to be based on what you define as a program and what you define as a POE. So I'm not sure that I can give a definitive answer to that. Thank you. Okay. Are the program and academic year fields able to be batched to update by a group of students. I know that there are data fields in here that can be EU updated, and we would think that you would probably want to do that primarily because this is academic information that you would be getting from your admissions or registration office to start with. So EU, either through files or through APIs, is probably the best way to batch that information. And let's take a look at the batch wizard to see if the program hour, yes, managing your programs. Selection sets, I hadn't looked at this yet. And so yes, we can batch the primary program, whether yes or no as to whether it's a primary program. We can choose the particular program from within your group. So yes, you can do lots of batch updating here. Great question, and thank you for helping me know more about it. Great.
Okay, Barbara?
Yes.
Okay, so I did test, and the hours are required in the setup.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So a follow-up on that is, can the program hour field be used to add program credits if you don't use hours to track completion? I think when you're filling that out, you're just filling out a number, so whether it's a number that's an hour or a number that's a credit is up to you. Yes, under program hours type is where you define whether you're tracking hours or credits. So let's go back to the admin, and the hours type is either credit or clock hours. Thanks, Richard. Okay, that's all I have in the Q&A. I do see some more in the chat panel, so let me go ahead and go back there. Does the program start and end date post anywhere else in PowerFAIDS or just under programs? Well, remember, these are the start and end dates for the entire program, not for the academic year, not for the award, not for the POE. So they are, the program start and end dates are specific to the program. I don't know whether they also show up other places. Okay, so next question, are we able to add programs and academic years to student records via the batch wizard? Yes, we showed you that just recently. So yay, I'm glad that we asked that twice, yay. Are we able to associate POEs to each of these in the batch wizard? Okay, let's go back to the batch wizard. And can we associate POEs? You take the program name and you choose whether you're going to update what's already there or completely add this for students who are not yet associated. You choose yes or no whether it's a primary program, what the program start and end dates are, whether there are any transfer or other hours. Let's go ahead and just choose a couple of things here. I know that doesn't look right, but we'll go ahead with that and see what else is here. One or more posting options. Okay, so we'll take this one. And that is what you get when you do that. So associating the POEs may be more efficiently added through one of your EU loads. Okay. Jasmine, help me out. Anything else? Have I misspoken on anything? Is there anything that you can clarify for us?
Oops, sorry, I was on mute. No, no. I do see another question, but what you've answered so far is good. Oh, this one is about the cloud. Will the conversion to the PF cloud be mandatory? Many schools we speak with are concerned about the data not being secure in the cloud. It
is not going to be mandatory in the first 2 years. to my understanding, but eventually everyone will go to the cloud. We will at some point, the desktop, I don't know how far into the future this is, but at some point the desktop will no longer be available because we are going to migrate, transition, however you want to say it, to the cloud. We feel very strongly that the cloud is secure and safe, and we are working very hard to make sure of that. I think that perhaps this is something that you'll see when you come to the PowerFAIDS user conference this June, because we are going to have an update on the PowerFAIDS cloud, and I think everybody is going to be wowed by the cloud and how secure and how interesting and wonderful it's going to be, how easy it's going to be. So we're really looking forward to that. You want to add anything else about your knowledge of the cloud, Jasmine?
Nope, that covered it.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, we have another question. We have a program which operates on a semester term for the first 3 years and on a quarter term for the 4th year. How can we reflect that on the program details?
I think you'll record that by the way you add the POEs. And the first 3 years, the POEs, there'll be a fall and a spring, I'm assuming. And for the 4th year, there'll be a fall, winter, spring, or maybe a fall, spring, summer, however that might work. Maybe it's a summer, fall, spring. But those POEs that you choose are going to be how you see the difference between the first 3 years and the 4th year. Maybe that's my understanding of it.
Correct.
Okay, great. Do you see any other questions, Jasmine?
I do not.
Okay.
Additional information on that cloud question.
Great.
That we are working with Amazon and AWS.
Amazon Web Services,
Yes. So to ensure that our information is secure.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, again, let me remind everyone that we released PowerFAIDS24.2 yesterday, and tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So be good to your sweetie. And we thank you for letting us come to your office for a little while today. We certainly appreciate your interest in PowerFAIDS 24.2 and beyond, PowerFAIDS Cloud and so on. So thank you so much, and thank you, Jasmine, for helping me out with the questions, and we'll talk to you a little later.